want to pin the blame on Robyn, and I don't think that.
When this family first came together, there was almost an idealistic sense of teamwork. They'd all gather around, discussing which bills needed to be paid, how they'd cover expenses, and which priorities came first. Back then, it felt like a true collaboration. But people say there's only so much a woman can take before she decides to stand up and push back. And those who know the Sister Wives set say Kody Brown learned that lesson the hard way. It all reportedly started during a filming break, away from the prying eyes of cameras and crew. Kody decided to pull Janelle aside for what he thought would be a private, serious conversation. He intended to lay down the law. He warned her sternly, "Stop bringing up the money on camera. You're just making things worse." But what Kody failed to predict was Janelle's response. Over the years, she had watched funds being taken out, seemingly without accountability. The money just kept disappearing with no clear answers about where it went. For a long time, Janelle had stayed quiet. But if Kody expected her to bow her head, stay silent, or preserve some fragile illusion of family harmony, he was about to be very disappointed. When the cameras started rolling again, Janelle didn't scream or insult him. She didn't need to. Instead, she went on the offensive in her own way with calm, cutting remarks that spoke volumes. It was clear to anyone watching that she was done playing by Kody's rules. The irony. The more Kody tried to shut her down, the more people paid attention. Viewers were hanging on to her every word. She never had to say his name outright. Was all in her delivery steady, firm, but simmering with years of pent-up frustration. You could feel it just beneath the surface. When she spoke, her words carried a weight that couldn't be ignored. She wasn't just talking about money. She was exposing the pressure Kody had worked so hard to keep hidden. And then, in one particularly raw moment on camera, Kody tried to defend himself. "I was a father to 18 and a husband to more than just Janelle," he insisted, trying to reframe the conflict as a misunderstanding about responsibility. But the tension wasn't going anywhere. When producers circled back for more interviews, Janelle dropped a line that sent fans into a frenzy. She mentioned, almost casually, that she had been told to stay quiet. That one sentence set the internet on fire. Fans immediately understood what she meant. One wrote, "This man wants her loyalty now after 25 years of crumbs." Another added, "Janelle's holding back, and even that's shaking him." The reaction was explosive. Everyone could feel the shift. Janelle was done playing the dutiful wife. Behind the scenes, insiders say this wasn't the first time Kody had tried to control what got said on camera. He'd allegedly been pushing both Janelle and Christine to stick to approved talking points for years, especially when it came to finances, favoritism, or anything that might tarnish Robyn's image as the so-called golden wife. But this time, Kody miscalculated badly. Janelle wasn't just speaking up for herself. She was giving voice to all the resentment that had been buried under years of silence. And once she refused to back down, everything started changing. Even the TLC producers, used to her quiet pragmatism, were reportedly caught off guard by how candid she'd become. Things had been building to this. Just 2 days before their big on-camera clash, Kody had done a solo interview that was supposed to be a gentle, reflective talk about the family's future. Instead, he went on the attack. Never used Janelle's name directly, but it was clear who he was talking about. He accused some people of being unable to manage money and claimed they wanted to throw shade when things fell apart. He even added, with a smirk, that he wished everyone would just own up to their part in the family's collapse. That moment didn't go unnoticed. Fans immediately connected the dots. Kody's snide remarks lined up perfectly with Janelle's own interviews, where she had described feeling financially abandoned. The timing, the tone, the thinly veiled subtext, it was all there for everyone to see. Meanwhile, Kody tried to rationalize it. "We had a lot of places that money needed to go that weren't always Janelle's business," he said. But Janelle had been doing the bookkeeping for years. Some bills were supposed to be paid by everyone, yet she was the one being asked to make it happen. fans weren't buying it. One post exploded online, racking up thousands of likes within hours. "Kody's acting like he didn't hand Robyn a blank check while the rest of them were drowning," someone wrote. Another user added, "He's got a favorite wife in a fantasy life, and now he wants to blame the women he left behind." Even TLC's production crew was reportedly taken aback by Kody's brazenness. Sources close to the show said Kody hadn't accidentally let those comments slip. He had a clear agenda: blame Janelle, control the story. He allegedly told producers, "None of us are talking to each other because none of us trust each other," a remark that now seems drenched in irony. If Kody's plan was to get ahead of the backlash, it didn't work. In fact, it made everything worse. The very next day, Janelle was asked directly on camera about how the family had managed its money. She didn't lash out, she didn't get emotional. But there was no mistaking the weight behind her words. She talked about all the sacrifices she'd made, pouring her paychecks into shared accounts. Giving up her own dream of owning a home, trusting in the promise that the family would always take care of everyone equally. It's never about wanting more than anyone else, she said. It was about getting what she'd been promised. And for a long time, she didn't. That simple statement landed like a thunderclap. It also forced people to look back at old episodes and realize the signs had always been there. Janelle, who had helped pay for Robyn's house while meticulously budgeting every penny, had stayed silent for years. Meanwhile, Robyn was shopping for matching furniture sets and living comfortably. Now, for the first time, Janelle was letting the truth trickle out, and it was rattling Kody's carefully maintained narrative. A family friend even told one outlet, "He's nervous. You can see it. He's used to being the only one with a voice. Now he's losing control of the story." And that was the most dangerous thing for Kody, because once Janelle started talking, the real question became, what else might she reveal? Regardless of everything that was said or done, Janelle never seemed eager to burn the entire past to the ground. She wasn't out to deliver some bitter takedown. She once admitted, "I don't need to go back and trash everything that was or happened. If I were to say, 'Oh, I'm really sorry I did all that,' would I be in this great place? No." But that didn't mean she was going to stay silent either, according to multiple insiders close to the family. The real breaking point came in late December of 2022. By then, the cracks in the Brown family's foundation weren't subtle. They were gaping wounds, splitting the entire clan apart. Janelle had spent most of her adult life bending, sacrificing, and trusting that the communal dream they'd all signed up for would eventually pay off. But what she got in the end felt like betrayal. It's a tipping point. A heated argument over unpaid costs tied to the infamous Coyote Pass property. That land was supposed to be the Brown family's shared legacy, the place they'd all built there, homes side by side. But over time, it became clear that only one wife seemed to be reaping the benefits. Robyn, of course. Janelle had been asking questions for months. She wanted to know why her name was still tied to debts while Robyn enjoyed a fully furnished, protected house that was allegedly funded by pooled family money. It was supposed to be a shared dream. Instead, it became a symbol of broken promises and unfulfilled commitments. And when she tried to get answers, all she got were excuses, diversions, or outright dismissals. The final blow-up reportedly began with something that sounded deceptively simple. Janelle asked for access to her portion of the family account. That single question triggered Kody. He turned defensive, accusing her of being ungrateful and disruptive. That was the moment something inside Janelle snapped. Sources say she looked him straight in the eye and said, "I don't think I want to do this anymore," and she meant it. It wasn't a melodramatic scene. She didn't storm out or shout. Instead, she started taking deliberate, careful steps to cut ties. She found herself a small rental, okay? She restructured her finances. She focused on her adult children. But perhaps the most significant shift of all was that she stopped asking for Kody's permission. It was subtle at first. but anyone paying attention could see it. Even the TLC cameras picked up on the change in her energy, her tone, her body language. She went from trying to win Kody's approval to barely acknowledging his authority at all. For a man whose entire identity had been built around being the family patriarch, it was a direct threat to everything he'd worked so hard to control. And Kody, he seemed genuinely stunned. In one of the more memorable confessionals that aired shortly after, Kody looked directly into the camera, visibly shaken. "Janelle doesn't respect me anymore. She doesn't love me." Its expression suggested the realization had blindsided him. But fans weren't buying it. They saw through the act. One viewer posted, "Now that she's gone, he suddenly wants to act wounded." Another wrote, "Kody treated her like she was furniture for years. Now he misses the chair he used to ignore." And just like that, the entire narrative shifted. This wasn't about a wife fleeing in anger. It wasn't a woman abandoning her family. It was a woman reclaiming her power. A quiet revolution that Kody never saw coming. The more he tried to cling to the past, the more Janelle moved forward, building a life that no longer revolved around his control or approval. And Janelle wasn't the only one thinking about the legal side of things. It even commented bluntly, "I'm so glad Meri understands it's wise to have a lawyer. Because we're not family anymore." This is people now trying to dissolve a business that went bad, basically. It was a rare moment of icy clarity. What came next surprised even Janelle herself. For years, she'd been the glue holding the fractured family together. Emotionally, financially, logistically, she'd shouldered burdens no one saw. But entering 2023, she had a new mantra: detox. And it wasn't just detox from the relationship, it was detox from the entire way of life that had kept her tied to Kody's shifting expectations. No more shared accounts. No more waiting for permission. No more pretending everything was fair, when everyone knew it wasn't. Friends say Janelle treated the breakup as a full reset, not just of her circumstances, but of her very identity. For decades, she'd been the quiet, practical wife in the background. The one who made sure things worked, even when they were falling apart. Now, she was stepping into the light. She moved into a modest apartment. It wasn't flashy, but it was hers, a place where she made the rules. She reactivated her wellness business with renewed purpose, promoting health products, fitness challenges, and clean living with a level of authenticity that resonated deeply with fans. She posted more frequently on social media, not just staged, polished ads, but real glimpses into her new life. Walks in nature, cozy moments with her kids, even simple shots of her new space, warm and inviting. "I'm healing," she wrote in one particularly heartfelt post. "And it feels really, really good." That single sentence triggered a tidal wave of support, especially from women over 50 who said they felt seen, inspired, even empowered by her words. Janelle was showing the world it's never too late to choose yourself. One fan wrote, "She's glowing and he's imploding." Another added, "Meanwhile, Kody seems rattled." Even people close to the production noticed the difference. They say Kody was visibly irritated during season 18 interviews whenever Janelle's glope came up. He reportedly dismissed it as just a phase, suggesting she was putting on a show for the fans. But anyone watching could see that the new Janelle wasn't playing to anyone's expectations anymore. She wasn't bitter, but she wasn't bending either. She was living freely and unapologetically. And that kind of freedom was louder than any monologue Kody could deliver. Behind closed doors, insiders say Kody wasn't taking it well. He allegedly vented that Janelle's public independence was hurting the family brand. He accused her of selling a false narrative, trying to paint herself as a victim even, though thousands of women related deeply to her story. The irony. The more he tried to tear down her journey, the more fans rallied behind her. Janelle wasn't just a former sister wife anymore. She was becoming a symbol of strength, resilience, and quiet rebellion. Even TLC seemed to notice. Insiders say producers began shifting more screen time to Janelle's solo segments. They followed her on errands, filmed her chatting with friends, even documented her setting new boundaries with her adult children. There was a subtle but unmistakable message being sent to viewers. This wasn't a pity party. This was a woman stepping into her next chapter. And fans were here for every single moment, but Kody wasn't ready to give up control so easily. Janelle's voice grew louder, more confident, and more unwavering, backed by years of repressed truth. Kody's reaction reportedly shifted from mere frustration to something darker. Production insiders say that in early 2024, just as Janelle's independent streak began resonating powerfully with fans, Kody made a move that rattled even the crew. He allegedly began floating the idea of non-disclosure agreements. Tease. Word is, Kody approached producers and even family members with a proposal. Stop Janelle from talking. Keep her from sharing anything about the family's finances, inner drama, or the simmering property disputes. The problem, NDAs don't work the way Kody seemed to think they did. Legal experts familiar with reality TV contracts say such a move would be practically unenforceably and could even backfire spectacularly. You can't retroactively silence someone from talking about their own life, one attorney explained, especially if they've already gone public. But that didn't stop Kody from allegedly trying. A family insider claims Kody made veiled threats hinting that if Janelle didn't fall in line, she could be cut out of any future revenue from the show's merchandising, spin-offs, or property development profits. It was a clear attempt at leverage. But Janelle didn't flinch. Instead of backing down, she doubled down. In a confessional moment that would soon go viral, Janelle looked straight into the camera and calmly said, "I've been told not to talk, but I think we all deserve to tell our truth." She didn't blink. That single line landed like a grenade in the fandom. It wasn't just defiance, it was a declaration of independence. Fans flooded Reddit threads, Facebook groups, and Twitter timelines with messages of support. Gag orders. Are we watching a mob movie or Sister Wives? One user posted, another wrote, "He can't silence her anymore. She's too powerful now." Even within the production, rumors say the mere suggestion of NDAs caused major tension on set. A source close to TLC's legal team reportedly pushed back hard. The show, after all, thrived on drama and authenticity. If we muzzle her, one producer is rumored to have told executives, we lose the only storyline people still believe in. That, insiders say, speaks volumes about how drastically the power dynamic had shifted. Janelle, once dismissed as the quiet, practical wife in the background, had become the reluctant truth-teller of the entire franchise. And Kody, the man who used to hold all the narrative cards, was suddenly scrambling to contain the fallout. But the power struggle wasn't just playing out in whispered threats or tense legal maneuvering. The moment Janelle stood her ground, it sparked something even more complicated. A behind-the-scenes standoff that producers hadn't anticipated. Many of them, including Garrison, made a choice. They cut off contact with Kody. Garrison, once a fan favorite for his wit and grounded demeanor, has reportedly gone completely no contact. Family friends say it wasn't just one incident that was months, even years of feeling ignored, dismissed, or outright scolded for daring to question Robyn's special treatment. But there was a final straw. Garrison had personally invited his father to attend a significant military-related event. Kody didn't show. The rejection devastated him. He just stopped trying after that. It wasn't about just showing up. One source close to the family explained. It was about being seen, about being valued. Kody didn't even try. Gabriel's pain runs just as deep. Fans will never forget the raw, heartbreaking moment during the pandemic when Gabriel tearfully admitted that Kody forgot his birthday. That wasn't scripted drama. That was real. A genuine wound that still hasn't healed. Word is Gabriel has been in therapy, trying to work through the emotional scars left by the splitting, by years of uneven, inconsistent love from his father. Even the younger kids, the ones who've kept a lower profile, are reportedly picking up on the shift in the family dynamic. Janelle's new apartment has become a kind of sanctuary, a calm, modest, inviting space that's the complete opposite of the chaos that reportedly fills Kody and Robyn's household. It's warm, it's consistent, it feels like home. Some insiders say Kody's been trying to mend things with the kids, but others claim they see through it. So they remember who was there when things got hard. One source said, and that person was always Janelle. That generational divide hasn't gone unnoticed by fans either. Social media is overflowing with support for Janelle's kids. One comment read, "Kody lost them when he chose control over compassion." Another said, "Janelle raised strong kids. He just didn't like that they had minds of their own." As the children continue to distance themselves from Kody, one question keeps getting louder. Could Janelle and her kids go public with their side of the story? For years, the Brown family finances were like a shared river flowing, pooling, splitting off, according to Kody's latest plan. But now, that river has turned murky. Janelle, once the quiet figure keeping the books, has started to speak up. And what she's uncovered in the final years of her marriage has stunned many. She followed the money trail. She didn't like what she found. Janelle's quiet, meticulous bookkeeping had always been the backbone of the Brown family's communal dream. She'd spent years carefully tracking shared bills, deposits, and debts. But in the last stretch of her marriage, she started noticing inconsistencies that she just couldn't ignore. She began asking hard questions. Why were there debts tied to my name for Coyote Pass? Why did money keep getting pulled without clear explanations? How was it that one wife ended up with a luxury home while I lived in an RV on land I helped pay for? The biggest source of tension, Coyote Pass itself. This sprawling parcel was supposed to be the Browns' shared Lagotia place where they would all build homes side by side, fulfilling their plural family vision. But years later, only Robyn seemed to have ended up with anything permanent. Janelle had to rent. At one point, she literally parked an RV on the land she helped buy in a desperate attempt to make the dream real. Fans were outraged when those episodes aired. But the frustration behind the scenes was even worse. Taylor remained tied to debt while Robyn lived in a fully furnished, spacious home with every amenity. And it didn't stop there. There were persistent rumors of private transfers, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars moving between shared accounts. Insiders began whispering about Robyn-only withdrawals. No public documents have surfaced. But fans, ever resourceful, began piecing together timelines. They compared spikes in family spending with major purchases for Robyn's household. Janelle noticed too. She began keeping track of it all. Sources say she has actual folders. She's ready if this gets legal, one family friend reportedly confided. Which brings us to the looming possibility everyone's whispering about. What if Janelle sues? She hasn't filed anything yet. But legal experts familiar with reality TV contracts say she might have a very strong case for financial mismanagement. She can prove a consistent pattern of misuse, or that shared funds were spent without consent or distributed unevenly. This could open the door to retroactive claims. One attorney explained on a reality TV podcast, if she can show a documented pattern of misuse, she may be entitled to compensation, or at the very least, a formal audit. And if that audit happens, things could get ugly fast. We're talking about back taxes, internal loans, even potential liens. None of it would look good for Kody, the man still trying to brand himself as the misunderstood patriarch. But maybe the real bombshell. Janelle might not be the only one investigating the money. Rumors are swirling that Christine has also started reviewing old statements. The idea of these two women comparing notes is reportedly Kody's worst nightmare. Because if even half of these suspicions are true, the receipts could be devastating. And fans are watching closely as season 19 drama continues to unfold. When things started feeling too hot to handle, Kody did what he's always done best. He tried to spin it. Longtime Sister Wives viewers noticed the shift immediately. Suddenly, his confessionals took on an odd mix of self-pity and strategic damage control. He spoke about his heartbreak over Janelle's refusal to reconcile. Even claimed with a pained expression that he had begged her to love him again. But the audience wasn't buying it anymore. They weren't just skeptical, they were over it. They'd watched the same patterns play out for years. Favoritism, gaslighting, financial manipulation. No tearful on-camera apology could erase the fact that for 2 whole seasons, Kody openly justified behavior that pushed his children away and sent his wives running for the exits. His so-called redemption arc, as insiders have allegedly called it, felt like a desperate rebranding attempt. And fans saw right through it. They remembered the receipts. They remembered the way Janelle poured her paychecks into shared accounts, sacrificing her own dream of homeownership for the supposed collective good. They remembered her calm, devastating words when she finally broke her silence. It wasn't about wanting more than anyone else, she'd said. It was about getting what I was promised, and for a long time I didn't. That line hit viewers like a thunderclap. It wasn't rage, it was truth. It was a woman done playing games, right? And the more Kody tried to spin things with the cameras rolling, the clearer it became that the center couldn't hold. The truth was out, and Janelle wasn't going to be the one to hide it anymore. She wasn't the same woman who used to tiptoe around Kody's ego or worry about saying too much on camera. She had already walked through fire. Now, she was simply done being quiet. And fans, they were here for it.